Hello. Today I'd like to focus a little bit and do a species spotlight on the One Spot Foxface. The One Spot Foxface is an excellent alternative for those of you who are kind of looking for one of those bright yellow, sort of green hair algae removers as an alternative to the more aggressive yellow tang. Now, as you've seen from my other videos, or if you haven't, I had a yellow tang that I had to remove just because it was a complete jerk to my coral beauty. Slapped it with its tail, hit it with, bit it actually on its lower fin, and as such, I wanted something that would fill the kind of that gap for the yellow and narrow fish and be a good sized fish in the tank, as well as working on some hair algae, but being more peaceful. So the One Spot Foxface was the choice for me. It's recommended for, at least on sites like Live Aquaria, for a tank of 70 gallons or larger. I would really say, 75 to 90 is pushing it for this fish, but it can be done, particularly if you get it small like I did. Any of the other Foxfaces, I would recommend at least a 125, a 6-foot long tank, because they just get too big. This is the smallest of the Foxface rabbit fish. It is venomous. You may have just seen it there just a few seconds ago where it spiked up. Those spikes are venomous. The sting has been called something in the range of either a bee sting or worse, depending on what size, and as always, the smaller the fish, the more potent the sting. So be careful of that when you put them in the tank. Beyond that, though, usually they're not too much of a problem. Mine prefers to hide rather than to try and be aggressive. I know some other people have had issues where their Foxface get a little bit bold and they'll get up there and, try and kind of get them with their spikes, but mine prefers to hide more than anything else. There you can see spiking up and just kind of showing me his spines, as it were, saying, hey, back off. It's a beautiful fish. As you can see, in addition to the yellow, it offers a little spot there that it's got on it. It also has that black and white striped face, which gives it a little more unique coloration. The other thing that is very unique about the Foxface that the yellow tang simply can't match is that Foxfaces change color based on mood. If they go jet black, it means that they are very stressed. They also can go into kind of like a snow/night camo color at nighttime when they wedge themselves in between the rocks to hide themselves from predators in the wild, and they just feel safer that way. So the Foxface offers a lot of unique features that the yellow tang doesn't offer. That's one of the reasons why I always bring it up as a good alternative for somebody who's kind of looking to fit that bill. Something kind of like a yellow tang, but not the aggressive butthead that the yellow tang can be. So anyways, it's gotten along well with its tank mates. Occasionally, sometimes, he can get a little bit pushy, but he's never hit them with their spikes or, bit any of the other fish or the other type of crazy stuff I was seeing from the yellow tang. So I do recommend, that you take a look a little bit more into this fish. One of the other things is that if you take a look at it in terms of being reef safe, these are listed as with caution on most websites. The reason being is that if they are underfed, then they have a tendency to munch on certain kinds of corals, like I believe acans are high on its list. Now, if you notice, all I have in here are a couple of Euphyllia frags, like the frog spawn and hammer. I have never seen it nip, or even, it really just ignores them. So I've never had a problem with that. I do feed seaweed daily for all my fish, 1 or 2 a day depending on what it is, and then I also do 2 small feedings of the frozen LRS Reef Frenzy each day and that just kind of offers the fish a pretty wide variety in terms of diet, without having to, try and get a whole bunch of different food sources. And they all seem to do well with that, including the foxface. It's listed as an herbivore, but I'll be honest with you, like the tang that I had, this guy is definitely an omnivore. He will eat green and he will eat meaty, no problems. So I do recommend making sure that even though it's listed as an herbivore, that you do offer it some form of meat in its diet in order for it to be happy long term. Because even an herbivore does need some of those amino acids and stuff that you can only get from a meaty diet. So I do strongly recommend that you treat this fish actually as an omnivore rather than an herbivore. So it has nibbled some on the green hair algae around the tank. Thankfully I don't have a ton of it right now. I'm running a fair bit of GFO to kind of keep it in check. But it does nibble on that a bit, and as I understand it, as it gets bigger, it's going to become basically like a green hair algae vacuum, which is good, because it's just very beneficial to have in your tank. So all in all, the One Spot Foxface is a great solution if you have a large 4-foot tank or bigger. If you have a tank that's 6 feet long or longer, you might want to look at the the Foxface Low, just because it tends to be a little more hardy than the One Spot. The One Spot is considered moderate for its care, whereas the Foxface Low is considered to be easy. But for those who have a larger, like a 75 to 100 gallon tank, something in that range, the One Spot Foxface gives a good option for you getting that same similar look that the Foxface Low offers for larger tanks, without really outgrowing your tank, provided you stock it right. And it's just a good, all-in-all social fish. It is a bit on the skittish side. They can be known for being a little bit spastic, so don't be surprised on that one. Sometimes, a shadow will make it go and wedge itself in between the rocks for a few minutes, but it always comes back out. So just all in all, just a great, beautiful fish, in my opinion, that offers more, in my opinion, than a yellow tang does. So if you're in that 75 to 90 gallon range for tanks, or even up to 100, or above, if you really like the extra look of the One Spot, then with the blotch on it, then by all means get one. They're a great alternative to a yellow tang, and just all in all, just a good fish to have around and a good tank mate to the other fish. And that's all I've got on the Foxface, the One Spot Foxface, and thanks for watching.